Prejudice doesn't always wear a hood. Sometimes it wears a badge and stands under the sweltering sky of a Carolina backroad. Colonel Rhea Morgan didn't look like a threat that afternoon. Clad in a simple gray tee and jeans, she could have passed for anyone. Her matte black Dodge Charger cruised smoothly along Route 48, a Tulane ribbon of asphalt cutting to the pine draped hills south of Asheville. The car was government issued, but to the untrained eye, it looked like any well-kept civilian muscle car. The air was heavy with late summer humidity, thick as molasses. Rhea kept her windows cracked, just enough to let the scent of warm pine and the distant buzz of cicadas into the cool interior. The AC whispered steadily. A week ago, she'd been in a soundproof briefing room in D.C., reviewing case files that stank of rot at the highest levels of American enforcement agencies. Now, she was on a solo field run, unofficial, quiet, off the books. No uniform, no insignia, just a high-clearance operative in civilian clothing, gathering intel on extremist infiltration in local law enforcement, the kind of cancer that spread silently. She was about to switch lanes when she spotted the cruiser. It had materialized behind her like a ghost, riding her tail with eerie patience. No sirens, no flashing lights, just presence. She clocked the plate, State Police. Clean, but that meant nothing out here. 30 seconds later, the lights came alive. Red and blue spilled across her rearview mirror. Rhea exhaled slowly and guided the Charger onto the gravel shoulder. No sudden moves. No rush. Her hand stayed on the wheel. Eyes forward. 2 officers emerged. The younger one approached her window. Tall, cocky, posture all swagger and control. Clay Danner. His name would later be. His hand hovered near his holster weapon, like a pianist waiting for the right note. "Afternoon," he said without warmth. "License and registration." Rhea reached for the black folder she kept in her glove box. Military ID, vehicle registry, all tied to a DOD shell. She handed it over calmly. "Can I ask what I'm being pulled over for?" she asked. Danner didn't look at the ID. "Plates don't match. Could be stolen. Step out of the car." She didn't move. "Officer," she said, her tone measured, "this vehicle is registered under a classified DOD contract. That's why the plates don't match civilian systems. You'll find that if you run it through the right portal." He shifted his jaw, annoyed, not confused, just challenged. Behind the Charger, the second officer pretended to inspect the taillights. He was older, broader, quieter. Deputy Luke Ferris. His eyes were on her reflection. Danner leaned in again. "Step out of the car, ma'am." "I'm not refusing," Rhea replied. "But unless I'm being formally detained, I have the right to remain in the vehicle. I provided valid ID. You've offered no lawful reason for me to exit." Danner's smile was slow and cold. "If you're going to make this difficult," he said, "we'll do it by the book." His partner moved closer. Rhea remained still, calm, both hands on the wheel. The folder lay on the dash, clearly visible. "You got backup log?" Danner called over his shoulder. "Logged and cleared," Ferris answered. "Body cams running." Rhea doubted that. Neither man had touched their gear since stepping out. No blinking lights. No audio chirps. If cameras were on, they were for liability, not truth. "Look," Danner said, leaning against her doorframe. "Vehicle mismatch. No verified ID. Uncooperative driver." "I'm not uncooperative," Rhea interrupted. Sharper now. "I complied. You haven't verified anything. You're escalating without cause. That's obstruction. It's legal clarification. You're ignoring a federal credential. You expect me to believe every slick car with fake tags belongs to a colonel? That folder doesn't come from a printer in someone's basement." Something behind Danner's eyes cooled. His voice dropped. "You think that folder makes you untouchable? That I'm supposed to treat you different just cause you say so?" "I expect procedure," she replied, still composed. "If that's too much, I'll wait for someone with proper clearance." The mask dropped. Danner didn't respond. He just stepped back, turned slightly, and spoke loud enough for Ferris to hear. "She's non-compliant. Open it up." Rhea spoke firmly. "You touch that door, you'll be in violation. Out. Now." His voice cracked like a whip, no longer legal, just forceful. He yanked the door open. Her body tensed, left elbow bent, shoulder angled to protect her ribs. She didn't resist, but she didn't yield either. Behind her, boots crunched. Ferris was closing in. "Let's go," Danner said, reaching in. His hand seized her wrist like she was contraband. She didn't flinch. She planted her feet, unclipped her seatbelt, and twisted her torso. Not to strike, but to anchor. The air turned electric. Ferris reached her other arm. His baton unhooked with a metallic click. They weren't making an arrest. They were making a point. She braced her foot on the doorframe. One hand broke free, just long enough to push against Danner's chest. Not violently, just to keep distance. "She's resisting," Ferris barked. A lie, but it was the cue. The baton pressed across her back, pinning her like livestock. She staggered under the pressure, boots dragging over the gravel. The folder tumbled from the dash, landing with a dull thud in the footwell. "Stop pulling me like I'm a damn criminal," she snapped, her voice cutting to the air like a blade. But they didn't stop. Then came the word that changed everything. "She's reaching." Ferris's voice was loud, clear, performative. Rhea didn't reach. Her hands were open. Her body was angled away. But the word had been spoken. Danner's gun was already out. She turned, just enough to see the weapon, the barrel, the finger tightening. The shot rang out. Pain exploded in her side. A searing punch that dropped her to her knees. Her breath vanished. Her vision blurred. The gravel dug into her skin. The world tilted. Her ears rang. Time fractured. She was going for something. There was nothing in her hands. She moved. Danner's voice cracked. Ferris froze. They didn't cuff her. Didn't check for weapons. They just stared at her. Rhea lay still, blood blooming beneath her. Her body screamed, but her mind stayed sharp. Her eyes flicked to the dash. Beneath it, a red light blinked steadily, silent, patient. The recorder, still on, still transmitting, still telling the truth.